Hello and welcome back, and Happy New Year to the Beacon of Light podcast tonight. Welcome 2024. We are excited to be here and for our special guest to really start us off on a wonderful new year and how we can mindset and think about things. We have a great guest, Synova Cantrell, and we are going to start talking to her, but first, we're going to jump into this. I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now. And we are back. Welcome again, those who are popping up here live. We really appreciate your support. Please go and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and share with us where you all are from. So, Synova, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your book, Whispers of the Mind.
Hi, April. Thank you for having me. My name is Synova. I started out as a true crime writer. I didn't write the gore and all that. I wrote from a victim standpoint, trying to raise awareness for cold cases. And in the background, I was studying all of these different types of therapy and psychology and self-help, but I wasn't using that to help people. I thought they just wanted answers on their case. And a lot of times that's what they wanted. But then when I started bringing in leads and started helping solve some of these cases, I found that these victims' family members didn't know how to live again. They didn't know how to move beyond their victimhood. And I realized, okay, I need to do a major shift in my business. I want to go from victim to vitality. I want to inspire these people to live again, to rise up and become the warriors that they are. Because I noticed that some of them had this inner ability to stand up and become something and fight for justice and build charities and all these things. And then other people crumbled. And I wanted to know why. And so I started shifting from the true crime writing into coaching. And it's given me so much happiness just to know that I can help somebody in a deeper way. And so that's what Whispers of the Mind is. It's just tools on how to get that spark back, how to live again, how to survive the trauma, but go beyond survivor and into warrior mode and how to live again. And so that's kind of who I am and what I do. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes. This concept really of going from victim to vitality, I pen it in my book of Victim to Victor. And it is that concept of what is next. We cannot live within our lives within that trauma realm because it's just this crazy bashing of a cycle, and it doesn't allow us to get out. And life is pretty sad and a lot of anger, and that's not fun. It really dampens your ability to dream. And I can say that for myself when I was challenged, when I escaped the abuse. What was your dream? I just had to create something and lie because it was so hard to even think about that. And I shared whatever I was thinking, and they were like, okay. And I'm like, that's all I got. And I love how this book, Whispers of the Mind, can help with so many people in that mindset, going from that victimhood to becoming vitality, victor, all of these things. So share with us a little bit about how the book is laid out.
The book is, I studied neurolinguistic programming. I study how the brain works. I study how thoughts affect your biochemistry. I study all these real deep things. But then I realized if I can't package it in a way that makes it practical, No one is going to spend the time studying all of these scientific journals and things that I read. I'm the nerd, you know. So how can I do this? So what I did was I took all of these concepts that I've been studying thousands and thousands of hours on, and I broke it down into little short segments. So the book is written almost like it's just in little bitty short segments. So you can read one little piece. It might be 5 paragraphs. It might be 2 pages. You read that one little piece. You can chew on it, digest it, study it, kind of implement it, and then move to the next. So you don't have to go from page one all the way to the end. It's a practical guide. So you can look down through the table of contents and say, oh, I'm having trouble with this. Let me see what she says about that. And then the first third of the book was really talking about how easily programmable our minds are and how much of our mindset isn't really our own, and how we've picked it up over time, or it is a survival mechanism. And so I tried to spend that first third of the book on that. And then I started spending the last 2/3 of the book giving you tips and tricks on how to reprogram it. See, our brain is not our mind. Our brain is an electronic switching station. The most high-powered electronic switching station. It's one of the highest forms of creation on this planet is the human brain. But that's not who you are. That is a programmable device. When you are working on a computer, or you are coding a computer program. My son's into computer programming and robotics and that thing. You put a string of commands into the computer, and then it will do the first thing and the second thing, and it'll just go through the cycle. Well, your mind is the same way. And if you have gone through so much trauma, your brain has created these survival loops. And so you get a trigger, and then you've got these automatic responses, and then all of these things just lay out in order over and over again. And that's what creates this trauma cycle. And so I wanted the last good 2/3 of the book to give you tips on how to reprogram it, how to fix it, how to maybe get rid of the things that no longer serve you and bring in some things that do. Because you have the capacity to reprogram all of that. It takes time and effort and focus, but it's doable. And so that's kind of the way I laid this book out.
It is fascinating to and freeing and exciting to realize that we can reprogram a response. We can reprogram how we will be impacted or how long we will be impacted by a trigger. And I've noticed for myself, escaping a whole bunch of different types of trauma, where I've been and where I am and how I can keep going forward. I remember a trigger happening, and probably for a few weeks, it was right there. Those weeks changed to days. Those days changed to a few hours. Now it's a few minutes. And I go there, acknowledge, and really set in the new program, like you stated, the new program that I want to live with,
Right.
and my little chant or my little idea to put in there.
Mm-hmm.
And within minutes, moving forward. It does take practice, and it does take the effort and focus. So
I like
how do
what you
you
said right there. Not to
okay.
interrupt you, but I like what you said right there. You went ahead and still allowed yourself to feel and then redefine that trigger and redefine your response. That is so important. So many people stuff it. They get triggered, they feel, and then they stuff it. And you'll never recover if you don't. Go ahead and feel it, redefine it, work through it, and change your response. I love that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, beautiful. I'm glad. Woohoo! I'm on the right path.
Good
Oh,
job. 2 points.
ooh, star. Stick on the net.
Yes.
That's exactly it. I remember thinking to myself, or watching, or I joined, that'd be a good thing to say. I joined lots of different Facebook groups out there that had um, kind of that network of people who had gone through trauma, and it was support. It was part of the journey. I'm going to say that it was part of this journey, and as I was improving on my journey and improving my programming and my response to whatever was happening, I noticed it was a great aha moment. I noticed, I'm like, huh, I I don't need to keep showing up
Right.
here.
Mhm.
This I'm I've moved on,
Yep.
and that was super awakening and helpful to know I didn't have to keep living in this survival kind of mentality. And I had a friend who once said to me, "Aren't you tired of surviving? Don't you want to thrive?"
Mhm.
Well, that word thrive, I really kind of it messed with my identity, it messed with my head. I was like so proud of I was just this proud survivor
Right. You take the
of the
proud in the warrior. You
yeah.
become a warrior, and that's what you needed to survive the chaos. And then you have to shed that warrior to learn how to live again. And that it's hard because you take pride in that powerhouse that you become, and you think by shedding that warrior status you're letting go of it, and you're not. You are growing past the warrior. And I'm so glad you bring that up, because so many people, they get there and they're so proud that they have fought their way through. They don't want to let go of that warrior. And and that's the necessary step to go past the next step. You've survived, you become the warrior, now you step out. And that's where you find the peace. Beyond the warrior comes the peace. And I love how you brought that up.
Thank you, Synova. So within your book, tell me, since it's laid out in these different kind of short segments, where you said the last 2/3 of the book kind of show these tools and tips. Is it laid out as kind of like, "Hello, reader, right here. Pick this. This will help you." How do we know as a reader, okay, I think I can understand this?
Well, I'll tell you, I say approximately 2/3 is the tips and how to reprogram. The reason why I say that is woven in between all of this is my story of trauma. Now, I don't go into details because then you get into this odd situation, especially on some of those Facebook groups you were talking about, where people start comparing their traumas. It's almost like a gold sticker. I've got a bigger trauma than you. And I hate that. Trauma affects the mind and the nervous system. And who are you to say your trauma is worse than someone else's or more important than someone else's? So I didn't put all the details of my trauma. I, but I wove in my story, my journey of healing. And so in all of this, I will give an example of something that's happened in my life, because I find that, even Jesus spoke in parables. And by telling a story, it's more relatable. You take a hard concept and you bring it down to relatable life, to real life. And so I try to weave in my healing journey in it. So you can go through the table of contents in the front and say, okay, I'm having a problem with this. There's the keyword I'm looking for, and go through it that way. Or you can actually just look for the trauma story that relates to what you're going through, and then read what I did, or read what. Sometimes I'll be honest with you in there. I say, look, I'm still working on this one. This is what I've studied, and this is what all the gurus say to do. But I'm still working on it. So I try to be very transparent and say, if you have a problem, here's what I have found that helps. I'm not guaranteeing anything, and I'm not going to tell you and lie to you and tell you that I've got it all together. I'm going to tell you I've been traumatized, I've been hurt, I've been abused in different ways, and this is my journey. This is what's helped me. Maybe it'll help you. Hopefully that answers your question. I kind of go off on a tangent.
No, I think it brings it right in. And what I've learned from that is that no one is alone on their journey.
Yeah.
We won't step in and say, "Oh, sister, I know exactly what shoes you're in."
Right. You
But we
don't.
say, "Oh, sister, let me walk with you. You're
Mhm.
not going to be alone on this."
Right.
That's different. And that is really important because you will discover and find your journey as private and as independent because it is built for you,
Yep.
but you've got all of us not just cheering along the way, like
Mhm.
we will support,
Right.
sit with, hand over the
Mhm.
food, whatever is needed.
Right.
And that's why it is important to network. And like I mentioned, those Facebook groups, that was
Mhm.
a start in this journey. And
Right.
as I walked past that part,
Mhm.
I found other supporters.
Right.
To be an ultimate supporter is really like that first responder, right?
Right.
They come in,
Mhm.
they help with whatever the emergency is. They don't come in judging, "Hey, who started this fire? Hey, oh, too many milkshakes. I'm not going to help you with your heart attack right now." No,
Right.
no,
Right.
they're right there.
Right.
They're there to help. And as a supporter upon someone's journey, sometimes it is just listening. Sometimes it's a prompted advice. Sometimes it's just quiet and they know that they're there and you are there for them. So it's all this amazing thing. When I'm looking at the book, especially the cover, you guys, you got to see the cover of this book. It is amazing. We see a lot of these lines, and it's almost like the person um, shown within the cover of the book is in a swirl or is in a lot of whispers, because I know for myself, my mind has whispered many things to me. Unfortunately, some of those negative things really felt like I was swirling. But when the positivity came, those swirls felt like a protection. So for me, I really look at the cover of your book and see it both ways.
Right.
I'm wondering, how did you decide on something like that? And what does it mean for you?
Well, the subtitle is How Thoughts Become Things, and I go into the concept in the Bible. I believe it's Proverbs 23:7. It says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Now, I studied that, and I started studying, beyond that one scripture, trying to figure out what that means. And whatever you tell yourself on a regular basis, that is going to be what you become. We never tell children that they're stupid because they will grow up thinking they're stupid. They might have the highest IQ on record, but if you tell them they're stupid, they're going to believe that they're stupid. They're going to behave in a stupid manner. And so we know this, but yet we tell ourselves some hideous, horrible things that we would never verbalize to another person. I mean, you think of the things that you tell yourself. Would you tell your mother that? Would you tell your best friend that? Would you tell someone on the street that? But yet we tell ourselves. And those constant, it's like this broken record in the back of your mind, in your subconscious mind. It's going on over and over and over. And it literally becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so when that's what the book's about, it's about how your thoughts will literally create or destroy. And they're like whispers in your mind. They until I started studying, I thought all thoughts come from within your own head, but they don't. They come from triggers from outside sources. Sometimes those are good and positive, sometimes those are traumatic events, and yet they still get in programmed into that broken record, and those whispers going through your mind are either going to make you or break you. And I have to tell you this, the majority of the time, they're wrong. And that's what's so scary. You know, we thought that, that everything we thought was true, and we tell ourselves these things and we think that we're telling the truth. But if we study and dig into it, where did that thought come from? Where did that whisper nagging in my ear come from? You'll find that that's actually maybe a trauma based thought from back when life was chaotic and you were just trying to survive. That may have been a lie someone told you, a bully told you in school, and you internalized it. Um, so when it comes to whispers of the mind, that, to me, that is what a thought is. A thought is an electrical impulse in the brain. If you want to get scientific, that's what it is. But that electrical impulse is so powerful. And it's like whispering in your ear. I think of those cartoons where you had the little devil on one side and the little angel on the other side, just nagging at you. Well, unfortunately, we have that, but it's all encased within ourselves. And we've got to be careful which voice we listen to. And that's what this book is really about. It's to let you know that you're in control. You can decide what you're going to program that little record to say. And so that's kind of where it came from. The story behind the title is kind of interesting. I'm a believer. I believe you are too. Um, so I'll just be honest and direct with this. I believe this title was given to me many years ago. I wrote a Christian fiction action adventure story set in Hawaii, and it was about this lady who was an archaeologist, and the volcano erupted and buried her alive, and then her crew and the head of her crew, which is a guy that actually was in love with her and never did tell her, he was losing his mind trying to dig her out. She was going in between, reality and consciousness, losing consciousness from her injuries. And so the title was Whispers of the Mind. But then when it got traditionally published, the publishing house said, no, you can't have that title. It looks a little bit like something else we've published. So they took my title, and I was devastated. And they put a title on it that made no sense. And I got a horrible contract. It was a horrible ordeal. And I was always devastated because I thought that title, Whispers of the Mind, was for that book. Fast forward over a decade later, I've been studying this and I've been teaching this and trying to help people. And I have these two big, huge notebooks full of notes. And I'm thinking, what in the world am I going to call a book that encompasses so many topics? And then the thought hit me, Whispers of the Mind, How Thoughts Become Things. And I realized I was given a title 15 years before I got the book. And that's where the title comes from. Whispers of the Mind, How Thoughts Become Things.
It is so impactful to see that journey, and how now, with the understanding of so much science behind this, it isn't woo woo. It isn't
Mm-mm.
this.
No.
They're real things.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can have truth and light and hope whispered into our minds through the programming, through upbringing, through friendships, through all of that, wow, you can see like ahead of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're
Right.
behind, we can then take on that responsibility and change the programming. We don't have to stay a victim to whatever situation and circumstance growing up. We can remember that was then, and I can change now.
Mm-hmm.
And what can I do moving forward? I don't need to believe those lies. I call it the shame shadow.
Yeah.
Because there's always light. Wherever, if you have a shadow, you know you're always standing actually in light. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, where is your head turned? Are you towards that shadow, the dark part that you're listening to, all the shame and the blame and all of that?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you like, oh, the lights are right there. Okay. Which one are we going
Right.
to? And the thing about old Shamey, the devil on your shoulder, or whatever you want to call it, it comes with you into your comfort cage. I don't believe in a
Mm-hmm.
zone at all. I
No.
believe that you build your own cage out of
Yeah.
lies, fears, all of the pain that you might have, and you sit right there watching the world go on.
Thinking that but it's cardboard. This is what I keep telling people. That comfort zone, that comfort cage, that box that you're in, you can break it down. But you have to get brave enough to look over the edge and see that there's something else. And that's what I tell people. It's like that comfort zone, that comfort cage. I see someone said comfort zone is your coffin zone, and I'm like, that's true. But it's cardboard. You can push it down. It's not permanent. You can push it down.
That is so true. And then you step into really that learning zone, that
Yep.
opportunity to learn, to fail, to stand up again, to try, but you're not alone in
No,
that.
no.
So that's important and to
Yeah.
really understand all of those
Now,
things.
something you said about the shame, I liked that you brought that up. You need to understand that a grape is perfect in whatever stage it's in. Now, a tree doesn't start out giving shade to anything. It may be an acorn, and then that acorn deteriorates and dies, and then it becomes a sprout, and then it becomes a sapling, and then it becomes, eventually it'll become this huge shade tree that'll give off fruit, that'll give off shade, give off life, for animals. But when you realize that you are growing, that shame from who you were before, you need to realize you're not who you were before. You were a sapling before. Now you can step out of that shame zone and say, I was doing the best that I knew how with the tools that I had back then. Now I'm a different person. I've stepped beyond that. Now I'm not a sapling anymore. I'm a shade tree, and then you can realize, let go of some of that shame through that. When you realize that you were in a different stage, you were a different person, and you were doing the best that you could with the information that you had.
And that is also part of how these thoughts and how growth can happen. You're never
Mhm.
stuck. We shared something, well, you shared something with me prior to us going live tonight. You said that people die and then 20 years later they're actually buried.
Mhm.
Oh,
Well, I heard that. I listened to all sorts of gurus, so I wish I could remember who said that first. I can't take credit for coming up with it. Um, I'm not sure. It may have been. I'm not sure who it was, honestly. But he said that people die when they stop growing, when they stop dreaming, when they stop um, trying to become more, when they stop experiencing life and hope. They die right then. But their body continues on and they go through the motions. And this is what I find so disturbing about it. Our society trains us to do that. It trains us, it just beats out the hope and the life and the light. Now, I went through 2 years and lost 16 people that I cared about in 2 years, and that in itself was terribly traumatic. And if you've ever sat by a loved one's bedside and you've watched them go, the light goes away. What happens? The energy goes away. Their form is still there, but their energy is gone. And you realize, I've lost so much time. I've wasted so much time. One of these days, that's going to happen to me. I'm not going to tell you where your light goes after that. That's up to you to study out and find for yourself. But while you're on this planet, that spark of vitality within you is meant to do something. There's no creation, no creature, no creation on this planet that doesn't serve the cycle of life. There's nothing created that doesn't have a purpose. You get rid of the trees, we lose the oxygen, we all die. Everything's connected. So that little spark that's within you, it's supposed to do something. It's supposed to serve a purpose. There's a point for you to be here, or that spark of light wouldn't have come upon you in the first place. Nothing in creation is done by accident. And so when you think of it, you think, what have I done with the last 20 years of my life? Have I got into that comfort zone, that comfort coffin, you know? Have you got into that and sat there until someone covers you up with dirt? I reached a very traumatic point in my life, and I had some people that were just wanting to keep me safe, don't just stay safe. And I said, "What do you want me to do? You want me to dig a hole and sit in it until you cover me up?" And they would have been okay with that. But I couldn't. There was some hunger within me that says, "No, I've got to go. I've got to make a difference. This little spark within me is on fire to do something to make this world a better place before I go to the next thing." My spark says I need to go around and light these little flickering flames of people that are hurting and about to go out. Because when you have a lighter and you go to light a candle, the lighter still has all of its light, but you've lit another candle. When you use your spark to light somebody else's fire, it doesn't diminish you. It increases the light in the world. And so we don't want those thoughts in our mind to keep us back from lighting a fire in someone else. That's what we're here for. That's the reason why we have that spark in the first place. So I don't even remember what your question is. I'm sorry. I just get
Well,
off on these tangents and I'm just like, no.
the whole concept is that you want to continue to dream. The
Mhm.
vitality is within you. You don't have to stay stuck in that victimhood. So I think
Yeah.
you've explained that in a beautiful way. Our time now is running short, but Synova, thank you so much for being here and starting us off on this 2024 year, a year where a lot of decisions are going to be made, a lot of probably challenges are going to pop up. And so, what is the light that you have within yourself? And what is your mindset set to? And are you ready to reprogram the things that happen in your life so that you can keep really moving forward?
Right.
All these choices are up to you.
Right.
And we hope that tonight's program of the Beacon of Light podcast has given you that idea, concept, and light within your life to go out and to share that light within the world.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Synova. And go and grab her book. It is on Amazon, and she has a plethora of amazing information. And if you checked out the blog yesterday, she has a lot of great contacts there. You can see running on the ticker underneath um, all of her, well, a great contact there through her blog. And so, Synova, anything you like to share with us about how to reach you and what you can offer to our people here in the audience?
Yes. Well, if you go for a limited time on sonovainc.com, you can actually buy an autographed copy directly from me. If you get it off of Amazon, you get it a little faster, but it doesn't touch my desk, so it doesn't have a signature. So if you want to order it straight from me, there's you can get an autographed copy. I have Monday motivations on Mondays, that just 15 minutes to spark some dreams and some life into you for the week. You can always follow me on YouTube or Facebook. But that is, I want to tell you something. I was one of the people online that did not post Happy New Year, Happy 2024. 2024 will be the exact same as 2023 unless you go out there and make the best of it. It's going to be the same. It's up to you to make it happy. It's up to you to find moments of happiness and joy and to try to build on those. It's up to you to make 2024 happy because it's going to be the same.
Beautifully said. Excellent. Whispers of the mind. Go ahead and grab that. Think about it. Get it into your mind. Start that reprogramming today so that you can have a different year than 23. Thank you again. And what a wonderful way to start off the podcast this year. Thank you, Synova.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.